welcome to another video. If you're new here, I'm your girl Barbie. You're welcome. I'm so glad that you clicked play on this video. Y'all, guess what? It is story time again. Let's get into it, okay? Now, I noticed when I made the last video about story time about I got fired, okay? I was like, I haven't been fired that much, and I haven't. But I remembered that I got fired 3 times. Okay, instead of 2 times. Now I told you about the other one, okay? And I told you about the gas station. The first gas station job that I got, they kept running off on gas. That's when they'll let you, get the gas first, then pay later. They kept running off. So I told you briefly about that, okay? But y'all, I remember I got fired one more time. Y'all, I'm 36 years old, baby. Things happen. So I was like, let me tell this. So the name of this story time is called I Got Fired Again. Animal shelter indention. Y'all work for the state they let me go. Let's get into it, okay? So we're going all the way back. And if y'all ever see me look up, it's my brain and how my brain functions. If I look up, it helps me to remember. So if you be like, she looks up a lot, okay? She looks up. I gotta get it going. I gotta gotta get my mind, because my brain a little different. I don't know if y'all know a little different. I ain't slow, but hey, I'm their cousin. Anyway, we ain't talk about it. I love me love you. Okay, anyway, let's get into it. I got the child, look, the doll got fired again. So let's get into it. This is a juicy one now, so let's get into it. So the first time I ever worked for the state, and I've been with the state of North Carolina, working for the state of North Carolina for over 9 years. But the very first time that I worked for the state, it had to be when I was 22 years old. I came over with the job by accident. I literally was on the state website, wanted to do better for my child. And then I came over this job that was a part-time job. Now, at the time, I was not working anywhere. Y'all were living in the PJs, and I lived in the PJs for 1 year, stacked my money and left, okay? So, hey, I had the whole project experience. I lived there, I got robbed. Hey, I had the whole project experience, okay? So, one thing about it, 2 things for sure. Maybe they said, I got to turn my notifications off when I wasn't. I'm like, what is that? What is that? Okay, so back to the story. So I was living in the PJs. I was in Greenville, North Carolina. Nobody, and the crazy thing about it is when I tell people I live in projects, they do not believe me. I be like, yeah, I lived on Bakers Boulevard. They be like, yeah, you live there. What apartment? I tell them, I lived in such and such. They be like, you were there the whole time. Baby, minding my business. Minding my business, stacking my bread. That's what you supposed to do. When the people is helping you on the system, you supposed to be getting yourself together so you can elevate, okay? Ain't nothing wrong with the PJs. But baby, I had my time in the sun and I got on out of there, okay? So I was 22 years old, trying to get together, needed somewhere to stay. Boom, they offered me a place. I paid $15 to move in. We ain't talking about it. I had allowance of, I think, $90 for light and waters, and my bill was never over $82, baby. I was living, I guess some people dream. I didn't have no bills for real, okay? But I wanted to do something other than be in the house with my child. So I went online and I went to searching. Boom, the job came up. It said, I wanted the office job. And so this was the office job. You was like in charge of helping the dogs to get, you basically managed the paperwork of the animal shelter, basically. You do the paperwork, you did the adoption paperwork. You also managed the Facebook page and whatever the dogs and the cats and stuff, but they had everything. Whatever was brought to the shelter, you were over it, and you had to make sure that on your shift as well, if they ran out of water or food, you had to fill them up. You could do more stuff with the animals if you want to, but for the most part, I was hired just to do the paperwork, okay? I did make sure the dogs were fed, and I enjoyed the job. The only thing that I did not like about the whole entire job is that it was a kill shelter. I did not like that at all, because I know that, okay, we had so many dogs being brought in, okay? We had so many that was being brought in. Y'all, let me brush my hair. It is bothering me, honey. Okay, we ain't talk about it. Okay, y'all didn't see that part. Edit it out your head. Anyway, anyway, we had so many dogs that were coming in. And when I got there, they were saying that, like, basically it's up to you to get these dogs out of here. And baby, I was getting home. Every one of the dogs, cat, or animal, they had a date that if they did not get sold or found a new home, they would get killed. Look, I don't know how else to say it. They will be put in the furnace. And they literally had a furnace in the back of the building. And I was just like, on the days that I had to come in, because I had a small work schedule. I worked from 11 a until 5 p.m. Okay, so I had a weird schedule in my head that your job starts at that time. But hey, I was clocking in. Okay, and so I enjoyed it. I got to work with animals because originally when I was little, I used to tell everybody, they would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was like a veterinarian. So this was my time to, do the paperwork and be with animals. And I used to love going to feed the animals, pet them, talk to them, show them love and stuff like that. Wishing I could take all of them with me. But where I stayed at, you couldn't have animals. So it was over for them. So I'm pretty sure now you can have animals because if you got to support some animal, then you can have it. So, but then you couldn't have no animals, so I couldn't take nobody home. And I'm glad they kind of had it because, baby, my home would probably look like the animal shelter. I'd be like, they don't want you, baby. They ain't gonna let them kill you. Come on home with me. You get on in the car. We'll figure out how to feed you. But, baby, I enjoyed it. I did my paperwork, and it was a lot of, when I first got there, it was like 6 dogs that had a kill date, and it was the following week. Honey, I scheduled a whole meet and greet. I done brought bows. I done trimmed the dogs up, trying to make them look cute. And some of the dogs were rough looking, honey. And it was a lot you had to do. I had to trim them up, make them smell good. Honey, cutting nails, picking fingernails, just trying to do whatever. Please don't kill my babies. Because I don't care if you've been around for a dog. You feeding a dog for more than 3 days, I'm in love. Like, these are my babies. Please don't kill them. And it was 6 of them I remember. I got every one adopted except for one. Came back to work one day, and anytime you came back to work, they would do it before it opened because I'm the one that opened the shelter. So if I'm there, when I was there, anybody from the general public can come up there, and then I walk you through, introduce you to the animals and stuff like that. So it was not open until I got there. So they did the killing before I got there. So you come there and the furnace is going and the smoke going, and you can see it. You driving all the way down this long street and you could just see the smoke, and it just made your heart melt. It made mine melt. I knew what the smoke was for. And I just like, that was the hardest part about that job. Cause I'm like, the paperwork won't even hard. It was a little tedious work, but it won't hard. Watching, I know y'all ain't had to do my boy like that. He was a sweet little dog. He just had a urinating problem where he would get excited and pee. You'll say, hey, little pretty boy. He done peed everywhere. And so nobody wanted him. He peed too much. And the boy had a peeing problem. So they killed him. R.I.P. to my roof. Anyway, going back to it. So, one particular day, I just felt like, okay, I like this job. It's very good. But I want to see if now that I got this job, and I have been working there for about 8 months at this time. I've been working there for 8 months, really loving the job, really loving getting the animals a home, really loving taking care of the animals, really loving. One thing about it, if you put something on that Facebook page and you said, hey, the dogs need dog food, baby, when you come back to work, it was so much dog food left on the porch because it was made like a house. It was so much that during the winter time, when I first started, it was cold. I was like, the dogs need blankets and such and such. You just put it on the Facebook page. The blankets stacked as tall as the door. Baby, when I tell you, these people in the community really support. They couldn't take the dog, but they really help. Like, the community really helped. I don't care. And I was careful because once I seen the impact of what I post on that Facebook, and these people was going to come out and do this stuff, and then they leave sweet notes and stuff, it just touched my heart that people care so much about the animals in the shelter, because they really do. they might can't physically take me in, but if you reach out for help, people will come and they will look, and they brought food all day. I said, hey, the animals need food or whatever, and that's how we got our food, by people either donating the food or people bringing the food. I'm pretty sure it was in the budget to get them some food, but sometimes that's what they told us to do. Sometimes you can reach out and see if, we can get food for money, because it's a lot to feed them. We had a budget, and then when our budget was gone, then how we gonna feed them? So we used to have to stretch that food. But baby, one message to the general public, baby, no stretch no more. And so I arranged one particular day, I just felt like there was 6 more dogs coming up for their kill day, and so I arranged for us to have a day where you come out and meet the animals, help me wash them, because it was a lot. It was like 16 dogs in there, and it was a lot to wash them, all of them. And so the community came out, helped me wash the dogs, and I got every one of those, and I had the highest adoption rate. Like, it was multiple people that worked there. We worked for animal control and stuff. They would go pick them up, bring them up. So it was other people that worked there as well. I had 2 people that was over me, and we're gonna call one. We gonna call him, because I like to just say his name for real. We gonna, that's too close. We ain't gonna do that. We gonna call him Richard, because baby, his name start with R, but we ain't gonna call him name. I can't call him the other name because that's too close. So we gonna say Richard and Ralph. Okay, so Mr. Ralph, he would just go do the pickups. So if you see an animal that was in distress, they'll do an investigation and see whether they pick them up, and he would just do a drop off. So I didn't see Mr. Ralph that much, but Mr. Richard, I saw all the time. He showed me how to do the paperwork, how to process the stuff, what to do when they get adopted, to call them once an animal was released, or like sometimes the animals, we would come there and somebody had tied an animal to the door, so we did it like that. So it was different stuff that we had to do. And he taught me that. Okay, so Mr. Richard taught me a lot of stuff, and he was the one that if somebody called, he come to get that dog, cat, whatever, he come to get it by force or by choice. He come to get it. So I really like him. He was a fun person to be around, but he was scandalous, and y'all gonna see. So one particular day, like I said, I was on their computer. I didn't have a printer, but I was looking for another job. So I had made me a resume, and I printed out several resumes, but the computer had got jammed. Now, in a policy book, I didn't pay no mind, because sometimes when you're younger, you don't read all the fine lines. But it basically said you cannot, and that's for any job, you cannot use your printers and stuff for personal work or your own personal use or whatever. So what ended up happening was I printed those resumes, but I felt like when I was printing it off, this was not a bad thing. I might should have asked. I'm pretty sure if I asked, they wouldn't even care. They wouldn't even care for real. But he went and turned it in. He found my resumes because the computer jammed, and then it wouldn't print it out anymore. So we got somebody to finish it. But when they fixed the printer, like 6 of my resumes printed off. And so he turned it in into the big boss. Now, I felt like this is something that you could have pulled me aside and say, hey, I don't want you to get in trouble, because that's the rapport we had built. I felt like he would tell me what my job was, and he would be like, joke with me every day and stuff like that. I knew for me, I would be like, hey, you can't do that. Or, I don't want you to get into trouble, because if somebody find out that you're using for your own personal stuff, you can get in trouble. Nope. He turned it into the head boss. So they called me. It was almost time for me to go to work. They called me at 10 a.m. My shift started at 11 a.m. And they told me that today, instead of reporting straight to work, make sure that you come into that main office. So the main office was located inside the health department in Snow Hill, North Carolina. So I went in, and so when I went in or whatever, they set me down at this big table. It was a big table. It looked like it could fit like 25 to 30 people in this table. They were sitting down, and it was like 3 other people in there, and it was me. So I sat down, and so the first thing they do was slide me my resume, right? And I'm thinking like, okay, I gave y'all already had that. I gave that in the interview. And then she kept sliding them. And before she know, I had 6 copies of them. And then they signed me a manual and highlighted where it said you can't use a computer basic for your personal whatever. So I'm like, okay. All right. So they basically said at this moment, hey, this can't happen again. We're going to give you a warning. We really love you here. You are an amazing worker. You do your job. The animals love you. You really learn fast. We love you. Like, we really, really, really love you being here with us. So you can't do this, okay? And they had to write up and basically just said, just sign here and don't do it again. Didn't ask me, did I do it? Didn't ask me, no questions, nothing. Just, you can't do this no more. If you're done, we're going to have to let you go. And I'm like, okay. And I just signed it because I know I had did it. Okay. So y'all remember that because it's going to come back up again. Okay. Now, I ain't do it. But just remember that, all right? So when that happened, I thought it was going to be no more. I ended up talking to the head boss, explaining what would happen. I just needed a few copies for myself. Was not able to get off in time or come to the library in time and to print them off. I apologize deeply for doing it. And so I'm sorry, I won't do it no more. And I didn't. So anyway, after that happened, okay, after that happened, I'm thinking that's the end of it. So, like I said, I have been working there 8 months. So 8 more months went by, okay? All right, y'all clock it, okay? I'm getting bonuses. I'm getting celebrated in the meetings. No problem. The dolls are getting good. The dolls are being sold. The cats are being sold. With everything good, things are being clean. Everything being good. The kennels are being clean because sometimes the request was to clean out that kennel. So you took this big old water hose and you sprayed it down, all the little feces and everything out, and it was not a girly job. That's what I'm tell you that. And I was like, I hate it when they left that note. Can you clean this, this, and this? I just feel like y'all are already dressed for that job. Why y'all don't do it? But they had the office ladies out there spraying, so I did my part because I did not want my fur babies to be out there in no distress. So I would clean it out, and I ain't think nothing of it. Things were going good, and then one particular time I came in and there was a new dog. Anytime there was new dog, either paperwork was done prior or they would leave paperwork on my desk to do. So I had to file. They done did a report. They gave me the report. They said where they found her. So they found this dog, or they said they found the dog, and she was a pregnant pit bull. Okay. When I say beautiful, her bloodline was blue. Okay. So she was blue, a blue pig, okay? Very, very, very gorgeous eyes. Every time you looked at her eyes changed colors. Like, I had never seen no dog eyes keep changing. Like, you looked at her, they were like a burgundy color. Then you looked at her again, they were green. Then you looked at her again, they were red. Then you looked at her again, they were turquoise. They were weird, like, colors that you don't normally see. They were just different colors. Then they would be sky blue, and I just was like, Jesus Christ, you're a genie, ain't you? And she did not like me. And I'm just telling you, listen, every animal in there, I come and they knew I was going to bring you treats. I know in their head, I was Mrs. Treats, because Mrs. Treats was coming in and she was going to have us some. Every time I come in, they be wagging it. They be so happy to see me. Not Mama. Mama did not. Sorry, y'all. That's my son. I had to pause video so I could be a mama and say, hey, you been too loud. But anyway, I'm back now. So the dogs love me, okay? In their head, I was Mrs. Streets. And Mrs. Streets going to have you to, hey, she either want to get out so she can give you a treat, or she just want to give you a treat. So every day, I gave them treats when I came in, and I gave them treats when I left, okay? That was something I bought with my own personal money because I just felt like they deserved it. You're already in prison just about. You ain't got no family to love on you other than us. And baby, I was doing all I can. Hey, yeah, Tickle-Poo. I treated them all like they were 2 years old. Mama did not like me. Off the rip, she didn't like me. And I would go and I was like, Lord have mercy, she didn't like me. I come up there, hey, how you doing, pretty girl? How you doing? I was like, okay. Now, Mama looked like she had been fought. It looked like she had cuts, she had whips, she had wounds, so they would come in, the veterinary would come in and manage her cuts and her wounds and stuff until we healed her all the way up. But when she first came in, she had a wound so deep you can kind of see through her body. It was bad. She had worms coming. Like, they went in and cleaned her up and made her healthy. When she first came in, she could barely get up. She was limping, everything. They got her to her full health, and within those months she was in there, baby, it was It was terrible. So one particular day, like I said, they told me she was pregnant, okay? And so every day I would come check on her, and I would leave her extra treats. She wouldn't take no treats from me. I would throw the treats in there. She'll take her nose and throw it outside the cage. Okay, so you don't like that treat. They got more treats and stuff. We gonna find her. So I gotta go to PetSmart because I'm like, yeah, I got a stubborn run. Maybe she don't like it. So I would try another treat. Baby, every day she did the same thing. I say, hey, pretty girl, how you doing? You look so pretty. Any day now. She looking at me like, bitch, I will kill you. Do you know I'm in here for fighting? Baby, that's what I do. Get away from this cage before I show you what I do. She did not like me. Okay, y'all, it took me a month. It took me 30 days, maybe 31, to get her to like me. And baby, she was not studying me at all. Okay, nothing. It took me a month to find a treat that she liked. And y'all, guess what she liked? Hot dogs. Okay. One day I'm eating hot dogs. She come to the thing and I'm eating the hot dogs. I ain't going back there to eat. But I just finished hot dogs. But I had like 2 of the hot dogs left. But I didn't want to eat them. I had packed me 4 hot dogs. And so I cut them up. And so I would give him, I had my favorites. I ain't gonna lie. I had my favorite. I gave everybody a treat. But my favorite ones, I had like 6 of them that were my favorite. It always was 6. I don't know what that number was, but there were always 6 that were my favorite. And then, we get them a doctor and then another 6 be my favorite. But I had my favorites. I was saving them. So when came to her door, she stood up. She used to just sit down and growl at me. Baby, she used to lay down and growl at me. Not this time. She done brought something I like, okay? So she was stood straight up, okay? At this time, she hadn't had our puppies. Straight up, lean towards me, no growl. I said, oh, we in here. Oh, she like the hot dogs. Okay, boom. Hey, pretty girl, how you doing? She wagging her tail. Never had to wag. If anything, she used to thump her tail. Like, it was a warning, like, girl, don't come over here. I'm going to slap you with this, okay, for real? I'm like, okay. But anyway, I gave her, just for feeding her, and that's the first time she ever let me get close enough. She would lick at my fingertips, never beat me or nothing. So I wanted to even try it anymore. So I opened up the cage because I needed to change her water. I was always scared to change her stuff. She would let me change her food and stuff, but it always was, you might get attacked, because she always would growl at me. She always showed me her teeth. If a dog show you their back teeth, they don't like you for real. Can I change her water though? That's all I want to do. Don't care for it. Can I get your water? Because I know you big dog. You big dog around this mug. Water. I had to show her the water hose. Baby, just a little bit. I'm going to mind my business. But that particular day, I saw her pacing. She was pacing. So I called Richard, and I was like, she's pacing. He was like, I think she might be about to drop her puppy. So they called a veterinarian, and the veterinarian was like, yeah, she's gonna deliver tonight. And so I stayed late that night, because as soon as I went to go give them their treats before I was about to leave, she started hollering, like screaming, and she was in full labor. So I called Richard and Ralph, and they came. The veterinarian came, and she had all her puppies, y'all. She had 16 puppies. And when I say they were beautiful, I don't think she had one that was ugly. And they were all, she had tiger stripe ones. I don't know who the daddy was, but baby, she had one look like my wig. I ain't lying to you, honey. With them changing, every one of them eyes changed. There was only one that was the brunt that had like brown hazel eye. Everybody eye did the changing of the colors. She had one look like a tiger. She had one look like a lion. She had a whole bunch of blue ones. She had the little merle color, whatever. And you could see them, Ralph and them, once the veterinary stuff, they clap their hands. Yeah, man, we gonna make a lot of money. Woo, woo, woo. I'm thinking like, how you gonna make a money when adoption's only $30 and you don't get the money? They bet that clapping hand. Yeah, man, this was a lick. Woo, 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 woo. Nope, these are white men, y'all. Talking like they instantly became sugars. Yeah, we gonna make a lick, man. I told you, man. And so they thought I was gone, because I told them, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. But I stayed so I can, check on the mama, refill her bowl and stuff before I went. Because, I had did all the other ones. So I was trying to, get her, she was last, to make sure she still would have food after, having birth or whatever. And so when I snuck up on them, they were like, oh, you still here? We didn't know you were still here. So I'm sitting there listening to them. And okay, so I knew something was going on. I was like, yeah, I'm about to go though. Walk off like I ain't heard nothing, saw nothing. And so I remember they said that, you know, we're gonna keep the basically I was in charge of making sure the dogs were adopted. So I said, do we need to go ahead and post about the adoption of the puppies today, tomorrow? When do we do that? No, you need to wait till they about 6 weeks, and then we'll post about it. And then every day I noticed that they would come in, and they won't come in every day. It was in a week's time, I would see them like 3 times, and they'll come in, check in, maybe whatever. They will always come to feed the dogs in the morning time, but I won't there because that's what they were supposed to do and stuff like that. But it was rare that I saw them every day. After them puppies born, every day, checking on the puppies, making sure the mama was fed, doing a lot of extra stuff. So I started watching them, and I noticed conversation. They taking pictures and stuff of the puppies. Like, we don't do that. So what are they doing? So I started watching them. Like, what is really going on? And so I'm like, what is really going on? And so he basically told me one day, oh, you don't have to post the puppies. We found a couple of families that are gonna take the puppies in, and we'll handle the paperwork. Never happened in the history of me working there. Every dog, cat, whatever came that round there, rat, whatever we was selling, whatever we were adopting out, I did all the paperwork. Everything went through me. Okay, it had to have my signature before the adoption could take place. So that's why I was confused. It was like, we're gonna handle all the paperwork. You don't have to worry about that. You know, just post the mama because the puppies are already sold. They're already sold. To who? I ain't talking to nobody about the puppy. We ain't even posted the puppy. So don't worry about it. We got it. Woo, woo, woo. They try to just kind of fast talk me. Most of them like, yeah, we got it. Go Ralph. Yeah, we got it. Richard like, yeah, we got it and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay. So one particular day, I go, but I leave my pocketbook. Okay. So I'm already off, y'all. It's 5 o'clock. I clock out. I get down the road halfway, and I discover that my pocketbook is still at the office. So I turn around. Now I'm up 10 to 15 minutes up the street. So I turn around, I come back, y'all. Why is there over 15 cars in the parking lot? We're closed. It's 5 o'clock. It's 5:15 now. And it was weird. And so when I come now, the puppies had got well over age. Let's say they were seven weeks. Okay. Let's say they were about 7 weeks at this point. I come, and when I'm driving up, all these cars out here, I keep seeing families come out with puppies with bows on them, coming out with puppies with bows on them, coming out with puppies. So I said, oh, these must be the people that they were talking about. Okay. And I was happy. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, okay. And I said, did he found, I was stopping the people. I was like, okay, well, where you staying? These people were staying far places. I had never heard some of them. They had drove far to get these puppies. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm so happy that you adopted them. It was like, we bought these. We didn't adopt. They didn't know what I was talking about. I was just a stranger that walked up to them. I was like, oh, I work here. And they was like, oh, okay, and stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, he's running a good deal. He's running a good deal on them. And I'm like, how much are they? He was like, he's selling each puppy for $200. I'm like, the adoption fee is only $30. He was like, oh, he ripped us off. He was like, I was like, no, it's whatever they said. See, because I had a back the whole time, but I didn't have a back for doing whatever they were doing. But I just like, oh no, whatever he told you. But I was confused because I'm like, the adoption fee is only $30. So what do you mean we got a good deal on too? This is a rare breed. Woo woo woo. And the family was just talking. It was, and when I say it was every race coming out of there, when I came in there, one puppy left. One put these family were leaving like that. They were getting that money and leaving like that. I came in there, they clapping their hands. We did it. They counting the money. I watched them split it and everything. He get half. And I'm like, where my half? This is what I said. I walked up and said, where my half at? Oh, you still here? You still here? I said, where the paperwork for the puppies at? Because, I went in there, I forgot my pocketbook. Where the paperwork for the puppies at? It ain't what? Oh, well, we knew that, because they pets, it was going to be hard for them to get a doctor. So we know a few people. So we go ahead and found them homes and stuff like that. I said, this look like this under table work. And that in our policy, we can't do this. Just like I try to be petty. Just like I can't print that paper that you went show. We can't do this. He was like, we could cut you in too. We ain't got to tell nobody about this. I said, look, I ain't seen nothing. Okay. I promise you, I ain't seen nothing. But don't do this again, because this is wrong. You know, we're not supposed to do that. You took my paperwork for a printing out something on a printer for that. And now you want me to be hush about this? I'm like, this is just wrong. This is just wrong. I got my what's I said, I'm not going to say nothing, but look, keep me out of stuff. If you knew you were going to sell them puppies, you should just took that dog home with you or something. And I let it go. I said, yeah, just keep me out of the mix. I don't want no smoke. So I went on a live. And so when I left and I came back the next day, I'm on my way to work. I get a phone call to meet at the big office again. So I'm thinking like, well, they done found out about what happened or somebody done told him, because two of the people, I said, oh, it's only $30 to adopt a dog, whatever. And so when you have a dog that's a pig or something, you have to do an intense screening. You can't just sell them regular. You have to even go see the home, see where they're going to go, because they aggressive breeds just can't go anywhere. And so I'm like, and a pit bull is considered a aggressive breed. Okay, you can't just take the dog anywhere. So I'm like, they didn't do nothing. They don't even know they didn't even vet these families or nothing. So I just feel like y'all want me to be A1, do everything by the book, right? But y'all doing scandalous stuff, and really you cheating the health department. And these funds go to help other people. Okay, that's what these funds go to. They go to help people in the community that can't buy their medicine, help different organizations to buy clothes and food for children. Like, this money is valuable that you're taking out of people's mouths. Like, so like I said, I didn't hear nothing, I ain't say nothing, I didn't do nothing, so I didn't understand why I hadn't printed nothing else out. I did my job to the T. And so then I go there, and when I go, they sit me down at the table like regular, and they pull out the paperwork again. I said, ain't no need to pull out no paperwork, because I have not printed anything. Well, they say, what is this? They take out a resume, right? It's my resume, but my resume has been updated. I update my resume regularly, okay? So if I don't like the style of it, or I had it that month, I'll update it and then make it look a little different. And I date all my resumes. So I'm like, that resume is from the same meeting. And then y'all, check this out. The resume had chicken grease on it, okay? Like somebody took some chicken grease and rubbed on it. Now, note these men that I work with, everybody I work with, except for me, was white. Chicken grease, really? And that's why I said to me, chicken grease for real? I said, I'm willing to take a lot of tests or whatever you need, but I did not print that resume off. I don't know where you got that resume from. It looks like an old resume. And I said, all my resume dated. And I pulled up, I said, hold on for a second. I can pull up my new resume. And I also got a copy of my new resume in my, I printed these off yesterday from the with I had a receipt and everything, because I did not want no smoke or nothing. Like, thinking that was going to be the end of it. Nope. And so they said, we noticed that even on the Facebook page, a lot of your grammar is off, and this, and you know, a lot of people have been complaining about your grammar not being such and such. So we're just thinking that at this time, because we just can't figure out why you would go when we made you sign some paperwork to do this. And we talked to Richard and Ralph, and they just said that you have been rude sometimes for no reason. You come to work late. I come to work late. I used to come to work at 10:30, 10:40. I said 10:30 or 10 or 40 is late. I said it's amazing to me how I see them do something that is wrong, like sells puppies that they're not supposed to. Puppies. And yeah, I told everything in. And they said, well, after the story that I told them or what I saw or whatever, we're going to have to do investigation. You don't have to do the investigation. The mama dog is right there. She's still lactating from having the puppies. There's no investigating in. What I'm telling you is the truth. I said, the reason why we're sitting here is because of what I saw. Now, you need to go do the investigation with them. And if you're letting me go, okay, well, I'm going to go. And so it was like, but you got to sign it. I said, I'm fired. I don't have to do nothing else for y'all. Y'all have a good day. And when with my check, because we had paper checks, so we didn't have direct deposit. Then it was like, you can come pick your check up, your last check on Tuesday. Oh, okay. We'll see y'all Tuesday. Y'all have a good day. And no, I'm not signing that paperwork, because I don't agree with nothing it says on that paper. They're lies, and y'all gonna find out it's a lie. And so I left. I came back. So let's say I got fired on Thursday. So I came back that following week on a Tuesday. I got my check. I said bye. I came in there dressed like a movie star, honey. Had my little glasses on, And I think the day before I had an interview at the prison, I had already got hired. So one thing about me, you fire me back, I'm gonna go get a job. One thing about me, you don't let me go today. Next week, 2 weeks from now, somebody gonna call me. Somebody need me, okay? Somebody, okay? The prison already hired me. They hired me on the spot, actually. And my start date was 3 weeks from there. So I told you I lived in the PJs, okay? I was living in the PJs, baby. All that's gonna happen is, they had changed my rent when I was working there from $15 to $100. All that's gonna happen, my rent gonna go down to $15 and I'm gonna be at home. Okay? You didn't do too much, baby. We good. We get the stamp. So, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't too much. It wasn't too much a loss. I just felt bad that I was not going to be able to interact with the animals. That's all I felt bad about. And I also felt bad that they were lying on me. And then I felt like this. I'm not safe because if y'all believe that these men, y'all will say anything. Y'all will flip it like I stole money. I did everything. So on that day before I actually left, I went back because I had sold like 3 other puppies. And so I gathered all my paperwork. I turned in all my money. I turned everything in. And then I left. And stuff. And then the boss tried to talk to me to the side. You are a very good worker. And I don't understand why all of a sudden it just seemed like that, Mr. Richard and them just came in one day and just, the other day and just was telling me all this stuff. And I was just like baffled. And the board just decided the best thing to do is just let you go. And I just don't understand that, because how you come from getting awards, getting bonuses for doing good. The community actually, like, I've never heard a personal complaint, but they saying they're getting complaints from people that I have an attitude and stuff like this. And then we have a meet and the board just decided to let me go after they just gave me an award. I said, well, hey, they got to do what they got to do. I'm not going to beg to stay. And so I got my check and I left. And so, y'all, 2 weeks later, after that, I got a knock on the door and it's the police. And I'm thinking, these men have lied on me about something and they done sent me to the house. And my first thing gonna do, let's do a lie detector test, because I'm not going to jail for nobody. Lie detector test for me. So I opened up the door because I ain't do too much. You know what I'm saying? I chilled. I was in the house with my son. I didn't have no job. Tommy, I ain't had no job. So, I was I was at the house watching TV. So I'm like, I don't know what they not. Maybe they're looking for somebody else. So I opened up the door and they was like, hey, is your name Barbie? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. It was like, your name Barbie? I'm like, yeah, that's me. Okay. And I'm like, okay, well, can I come in the house and talk to you about something? I was like, well, what's it about? It's something that happened at the animal shelter and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened? Come on in. Because, I'm nosy now. Really, I should have talked to them outside, but it didn't matter. Because I know I hadn't did anything. So they come in. My son is playing on the floor. He's a little child. My older son that's 14 now, standing talking to me. But he's on the floor. He's a small child playing on the floor. Got his car. Don't understand what a police officer is. Don't know what it just knows. These is 2 men coming in our house. He handed them trucks and cars and everything. And then he handed them police cars. He got police cars, fire trucks and stuff he playing with. And he said, woo, 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 woo. And then he looked up and see that the uniform matched that. Just doing all types of stuff, and I'm just like, Lord Jesus, please forgive him. They were like, no. So one of the officers, but I thought one night, he got right on the floor and started playing with him, and I thought it was nice. They're both white males, and I just thought it was sweet, So when he did that, I did not feel as bad, but I was kind of scared. Why are you trying to make my son feel comfortable for? So we sit down. I was like, you want some water, lemonade? I got a little Kool-Aid in there too. That was ghetto to ass up. Please don't do you want some Kool-Aid? But baby, y'all, I offered him lemonade, water, and Kool-Aid. Baby, he took that Kool-Aid. That white man took that Kool-Aid. I said, yes, yes, yes. He said, just like my grandma used to make it. I said, yes, sir. I was like, well, I might be all right then. He took my Kool-Aid. But anyway, he drank it too, the whole glass. Okay. We didn't talk about it. But Mr. Officer, he was like, I came here to talk to you about something that happened at, the animal shelter. And I said, what happened? It was like, 2 weeks ago, money was stolen. The animal shelter was broken into and money was stolen up to $350. What he said, $315 and 52 cents. I remember that 52 cents. And I was like, okay. And they was like, well, where was you at on such and such date and time? Here. Can anybody vouch for that? No. Unless you can get him to tell you. It been me and my TV. I said, sir, I don't have a job. And he was like, well, would you have any reason? You know, I understand they let you go because you was using the printer for, you know, to print off some resumes and stuff, you know, was trying to get another job or whatever. I said, do that sound like a person that was still sound? And they said it sound like a person that might need some more money. I said, don't we all need some money? I know you need some more money, don't you? And, you know, that's been one of my gifts of a little. I can make anybody laugh. And he started laughing. He was like, yeah, everybody need a little money. And I looked at him and I said, I looked him right in his eye and I put my hand on his hand. I said, officer, I don't want to get in trouble for touching you. I leaned in, I looked right at him. I said, I want you to look at that little boy down there. I'm the only thing that little boy got. I would never do anything to get me take away for a day, second, or a month from him. Whatever they done put together, I take 10 lie detector tests to prove that I had nothing to do with it. Them people lied on me, let me go. I caught them doing this, this, and this. I told him the whole story. They lied. They took one situation. I told them the whole thing. They stayed them out about an hour. I'm not lying. And I told them they lied on me. They had a meeting and they decided consecutively that I was the one that did it. I was the one that did this stuff, and I had this terrible such and such. And I told them they conspired against me and everything. I said, believe me not, I didn't steal no money, sir. And he said, you know what? I've been doing this job for over 42 years. I know you're not lying. I said, well, that's to be the first person that actually believes something that I said. For real. Well, in this situation anyway. You be the first person. He said, because you can tell people. I know you love your son. I can tell, I can see it in your heart. I felt that. You made my skin tingle. He said, I know you're not lying. And I said, I'm not lying. Those people lied on me. And they said, so he said, you know what? I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to do an investigation on what you said. Since they won't do it, I'm going to look into it. And y'all, 2 weeks later, this same police officer came and knocked on my door. While I'm talking to him, the same job that let me go keeps calling. They called me 4 times. I haven't heard from them since they let me go. I'm about to start at the prison the next day. So I'm like, I don't know what they calling me for. But maybe they got the wrong number. They done called me 4 times back to back. So they come knock on my door. I said, hey, Mr. Officer, how you doing? So at first I kind of got scared because I was like, you said you believe me now. What you coming back for? I don't look good in brass. I don't want that silver on me. I don't want that silver on me. Don't. Yeah. So I'm kind of scared. So I called my mom. I said, so if anything happened, whatever, you got to come get my son because I think these people done lied on me. And my mama said, what? You don't do nothing. You be in the house. So what are you talking about? And so I hung up on her. I don't know if she remembered it or not, but I hung up on her and I called back and I explained it. But like I said, I'm 36 years old. Some stories my mama remember, some stuff she don't remember. You know, she got too much to remember. But I remember calling her and like, hey, if anything happened, whatever, come get my son or whatever. And she was like, okay, just call me back or whatever. You gonna have to explain it. I said, the police here just call me back. I know my mom was like, girl, what Eddie girl done did? Nah, she don't do too much. Every time I call her, she looking at TV with a film. So, anywho, they come knock on the door. Hey, can we come talk to you for a second? I said, yeah, come on in. I said, you want some more Kool-Aid? He said, you got some. We ain't got that baby some Kool-Aid. That baby drink that Kool-Aid. I had the red last time he came. It was like, I would mix my Kool-Aid so it'd be like cherry and lemonade. And this time I had blueberry lemonade. He told, woo, this good right here. He told some, he said, I love this. I love this combination that you do. It tastes real good, baby. Look, it was so good. Hold on, you need to taste this. This is good right here. I know you're thinking like, we ain't supposed to get the store. You ain't drinking one with Kool-Aid. I think it came back for y'all. They're true. So he was like, we did an investigation and we found out the storyline was true. We found out they sold the puppies, and not only did they sell the puppies, they had a whole website up that they selling different rare breeds. This is not the first time they did it, and they were selling the female for $250, and they were selling the males for $200. That is against the law. That's against y'all policies, against y'all code. So they have been, handle. All information has been taken in, consideration, and your job should be calling you back soon because you were fired on false pretenses. Now, I said, so what's going to happen? So y'all going to lock them up? He was like, it really is determined what they want to do. If they give us, they want to press charges about the matter, we will lock them up. And it's sad because you have Mr. Richard, he's been working with animal control for over 42 years. And then you have Mr. Ralph, he's been working there just as long, probably like maybe 40 years. We know them very well, we work with them closely. And for us to find out that there's something like this is true is crazy. And so it's up to them what they want to do. So quickly after that, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it that I found true. So it was like, I see them keep calling you. They probably gonna call you to start back. So if you want your job, you can get your job back, baby girl. And I said, well, thank you and everything. And he was like, thank you for being a good parent. And thank you for serving our community. And I'm sorry that this happened to you. And I was like, thank you. He made me feel very, very nice. He was, sometimes, big police officers get a bad rap. And there's some bad ones out there. But these particular ones, they were very, very nice. Even they came back on Christmas and brought my son some presents, y'all. They brought him 4 trucks, like the trucks and the stuff that they saw him doing. They brought him bigger versions of those trucks and brought them by. Just knocked on the door Christmas randomly and brought him the trucks. And when I tell you that was sweet, they didn't have to do that. That was not their job. But y'all, he got some Kool-Aid at that time. Man came back to get some Kool-Aid. That Kool-Aid was good. And I had cherry lemonade that day for Christmas. Yeah. But he came and got some of that. And my son on the floor like, yeah. Like, sorry. It's fine. But they loved it, my son. They came and played and stayed there for about 30 minutes. Then they went on about the business. But after that happened, I answered the phone call when they asked me, can I come in? And I was like, no, I'm busy. I don't want to come in. And they basically told me over the phone. I said, we can discuss whatever you want to discuss over the phone. They basically put them on the speakerphone. They told me everything. They told them that they found out a whole bunch of things that was going on. They was not aware that the police had got involved and that they were deeply sorry and they would want to bring me back. They wanted to give me a raise, okay, for firing me and pay me back pay. I said, I just would like the back pay. And I don't want to work for y'all no more. And so they said, we can't pay you back pay unless you work for us. So I was like, I just would not. So what she said we would do is we will figure it out some kind of way and we will pay you for what happened. And I was like, what? I was lost. So what ended up happening was they sent me a bonus check in the mail, y'all. And this bonus check, I feel like was shut your mouth money, because that's what it gave, okay? And let's just say I called the prison and said, yeah, something had came up and I'm gonna be able to start. I won't be able to start that day. I need about 2 to 3 weeks off, and well, not off because I ain't started yet, but I will be able to start in 3 weeks. Is that cool? And baby, they pushed that day back. They said, sure, you can start this day. Yeah, I went on vacation. I went on vacation with that money. I paid, I ain't had no bill. My rent $15. What y'all talking about? The little car I paid cash for that. I ain't had no bill for real. Baby, I went and got my baby every outfit that could fit on. You hear me? I went and got my nails, toe, eyelash, everything was done, okay? Everything was done. New wig, new everything, okay? Boom, okay? Got my car washed, cleaned out, I was buying stranger. So you want something? Because, I got that money on me. But anyway, it wasn't that much, but it was a lot back then, okay? So, it was, I'm gonna say that they gave me, I want to say it was like $6,000. So, I got a bonus of that. And so, what I heard was that they both retired, okay? They retired, okay? After this incident, they were not charged with anything, but they both retired after this stuff. And I was like, I bet they did retire, okay? So either way, I wasn't mad at them. I think they was causing themselves, trying to cover their butt, but I was mad that if you knew you were gonna be cricket, why would you trip about some paperwork? Did y'all feel like, okay, now she, I thought we gonna hire her because we thought that she was gonna be cool. Now she probably go tell these people, and if she go tell these people, they might remember. So let's just mess her up a little bit. But for them to save the paper and put chicken grease on and turn it in, I don't like that. That's messy word, literally. They put and then the chicken grease was like splatter, y'all. The chicken grease was like, it was a little some in this corner. They put some like where you might grab the paper. Like, y'all, the chicken grease gonna splatter. It ain't gonna just be in them corners. It was just in the corner of the paper. Please, and y'all believe it. Y'all was just ready for me to go for real. Y'all just like that's satirical. Like that angry black woman. It was nice to everybody I met out there. Even some of the ones that I was like, you ain't getting nothing here. You look dangerous. But that's the story, y'all. Be careful who you work with, okay? Make sure you follow the company policy rules. If you don't know the rules, do your research, okay? And don't break them, y'all, because somebody might could use it against you, okay? And if they do, and don't worry about it. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, don't worry about it, because at the end, it's going to work out for your favor, okay? The girl got fired again. But anyway, I started a prison and I worked there for about 5 years. And then after that, I went to another gas station. And after that, you know, while I was working at the gas station, I started working with the older people. And after that, I went back to the prison for a little while. And now I'm working for the state. And all of them are state jobs except for this gas station and stuff. And then now I'm working with, you know, making sure that clients are getting things that they need so they can live independently. Okay, so that's me. And baby, I do my job very well. Love my job, baby. And I'm pretty sure if anything happened that I have bosses and people put in place that I can literally sit down and talk to them and they could just tell me, hey, don't do that, or we can't do that, and the policy says this, and they won't just hand me paperwork and assume that somebody is telling the truth or lying or whatever. They will actually try to get my side of the story, you know. But either way, I'm going to fight for myself. You would never slide me no paperwork and say, hey, this and that is a lie. From the grave. Okay, I did not do none of that. And fire me not, baby. I'm gonna grievance you down and sue you. Anyway, I'm gone. You're okay. The girl got fired again. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this story time. I'm so glad that you came here to click play. I got so many stories in tune for you. I do 2 story times a week, y'all. And if you haven't already, go check out my online store. Follow my socials. Okay. Follow my socials. And y'all make sure y'all shop with it. Go on Diva Supply and get you something cute today. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button on your way out if you're new. Go ahead and hit that like button. Drop me some hearts in that comment. And see you next time. Bye, besties. Thanks for watching. Bye.